Today, a pediatric approval in a rare blood disorder, a breakthrough therapy designation in RCC, and regulatory advancements in melanoma and basal cell carcinoma. Hello and welcome to OncLive News Network. I'm Laura Jones. The FDA approved Eltrombopag as a treatment for pediatric patients with chronic immune thrombocytopenic purpura following a lack of response to other therapies or splenectomy. The decision was based on demonstrated improvements in platelet counts in 2 clinical trials. In the Phase 2 PEDIT study, 62% of patients treated with Eltrombopag experienced an improvement in platelet counts compared with 32% with placebo. In the Phase 3 PEDIT 2 trial, platelet counts were improved in 40% of patients in the treatment arm versus 3% with placebo. Dr. Richard Pazder of the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research commented on the label extension. This new use in ages 1 and up builds on a recent approval for ages 6 years and up and fills an unmet need for young children whose disease has progressed after use of other available treatments. The drug, which was granted orphan drug designation in June, is now indicated for children ages 1 to 17 and adults with chronic ITP. Exelixis announced that Cabozantinib received a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA for the treatment of patients with advanced renal cell carcinoma following 1 prior therapy. The designation is based on findings from the open-label Phase 3 METEOR study in which Cabozantinib reduced the risk of progression or death by 42% versus everolimus. Overall survival with Cabozantinib was improved by 33% versus everolimus, with data continuing to mature. Statistical significance for the OS endpoint was represented by a p-value of 0.0019. Exelixis reported that complete results from METEOR are scheduled for presentation as a late-breaking abstract at the 2015 European Cancer Congress. The METEOR study was among the topics discussed at a recent peer exchange. In this next segment, Dr. Thomas Hudson of Texas Oncology discusses c-Met and VEGF inhibition in RCC.
And Cabozantinib being a kind of pan inhibitor of different tyrosine kinases, the ones that we think are important are going to be c-Met and VEGF. So it does inhibit VEGF, and that for the proponents that feel that you need to constantly inhibit the HIF pathway with VEGF inhibitors in multiple sequences, that appeases them. But then c-Met being a pathway, that c-Met may be involved in angiogenic escape, maybe one of these pathways of resistance. Certainly there is some thoughts that it may have a role in the papillary subtype where there can be c-Met abnormalities.
This peer exchange is led by Dr. Robert Figlin of the Cedars-Sinai Comprehensive Cancer Center. Also on the panel are Dr. Eric Jonish of the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and Dr. David McDermott of the Dana-Farber Harvard Cancer Center. Merck announced that the FDA granted its PD-1 inhibitor Pembrolizumab a priority review in the frontline setting. The supplemental BLA was based in part on data from the Phase 3 KEYNOTE-006 study. The trial evaluated Pembrolizumab in 834 patients with unresectable or metastatic melanoma who have disease progression. In a separate action, the FDA delayed its decision on Pembrolizumab in the refractory setting to December 24th of this year. Merck stated that the FDA needs time to review an additional analysis from the Phase 2 KEYNOTE-002 study submitted by the company. In this trial, Pembrolizumab improved progression-free survival by 43% compared with chemotherapy in patients with metastatic melanoma who were refractory to ipilimumab. The hedgehog inhibitor Sunitinib received European Commission approval for the treatment of patients with locally advanced basal cell carcinoma who are not amenable to curative surgery or radiation therapy. The decision was based on the Phase 2 BOLT study in which Sunitinib had an objective response rate by a central review committee of 56% and a median progression-free survival of 22 months among patients with locally advanced BCC who received the drug at a 200 milligram dose. The overall response rate per investigator review was 71%. Treatment with the 800 milligram dose did not significantly improve clinical outcomes. The EU's decision follows an FDA approval for the treatment in July. And that'll do it for today. Thanks so much for watching on Clive News Network. I'm Laura Jones. We'll see you next time.